Before this image was an icon, it was a response to grace. In 1996, Christopher Wallace, known as the Notorious B.I.G, survived a near-fatal car crash. What he wore afterward wasn't decoration, it was testimony. A month later, his son was born. Near death and new life arrived almost at the same time. Biggie spent months relearning how to walk. Survival changed the way he understood God. During his recovery, Biggie commissioned 3 custom necklaces. The pendant depicts only Christ's face, crowned by thorns. In Scripture, thorns enter the world as a sign of sin and consequence, Adam and Eve's punishment after the fall. Worn on Christ's head, the crown of thorns becomes something else, the promise of atonement. There's another detail that's easy to miss. Most modern images of Christ crowned with thorns follow a visual tradition shaped by Guido Reni. Christ's face tilts upward, the eyes lift toward heaven, the mouth open, a plea, a cry, a prayer. But in Biggie's Jesus piece, Christ looks straight ahead. The mouth is closed, the gaze meets the viewer. This is not an upward cry, it's endurance, suffering borne wordlessly. Before his accident, Biggie wore a cross like many rappers did as status, as part of a hip-hop visual language. But after surviving the crash, the way he understood God changed. Biggie had been raised by a devout mother in the Jehovah's Witness tradition, which avoids the cross. Members of this tradition believe Jesus died not on a cross, but on a single upright stake or tree. Returning to Christ's face, suffering, crowned with thorns, was a deliberate choice. For Biggie, the image was a response to grace, regret for past choices and hope made possible through Christ's sacrifice. He wore 2 pendants, one for the past and one for the future. Biggie named the Jesus piece directly. In Hypnotize, he raps, in Biggie's world, a piece carried weight. A gun, a verse, and now a pendant, worn from a Cuban link chain. But listen closely to what Biggie does next. He turns peace into peace, not peace kept through threat or violence, but peace entrusted to Christ, carried on his body. In naming it, Biggie became the image's first author, not as an artist shaping form, but as a believer giving witness. Fear no longer gets the final word, and his testimony didn't stay in music. Shortly before his death, Biggie marked his body again. He tattooed words from Psalm 27 on his arm. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? And it continues. And when the wicked, even my enemies and foes, come upon me to devour my flesh, they stumble and fall. This is the same peace, spoken without a hip-hop beat. 3 days later, before the tattoo had healed, Biggie was killed. Once it entered public life, it would be misunderstood. After his death, the Jesus piece didn't disappear. It multiplied, copied, remade, diluted. As it moved through culture, its meaning shifted from testimony to status symbol to cultural icon. It's tempting to judge the Jesus piece by what it later became, but that can keep us from seeing what it meant at the beginning. Images don't lose sincerity because they circulate. They lose context. And recovering context is not the same thing as excusing everything that follows. The Jesus piece didn't begin as an icon. It began as a response to grace. It doesn't resolve the tension, but it does ask us where that image actually began. And once you know that, perhaps you can recognize God at work, even through the jewelry of a sinner trying to do better. So let me ask you this.